I'd like to pay respects to a guy that I got to know as a Kansas State player and coach, and a guy that I studied a great deal, and a guy that spent a great amount of time in this city on the passing of Tex Winter. Truly one of the great innovators of the game, one of the creative minds, and a guy that had a tremendous amount of success at every level. So I felt I needed to pay the respects to a guy I admire a great deal. I'm excited. This is the youngest team that I've been a part of since I was a junior college coach and had a team every year of all freshmen. And that's exciting. It's brought a youthful exuberance to our practices. It's a group of guys that is helping lay a foundation. I feel very, very good about the fact that what we're doing is laying a tremendous foundation for the future with this group. And they're talented, and yet they're a group that has done nothing but win at previous levels. And a group of freshmen, a junior college transfer in Andres Feliz, and one fifth-year transfer in Adonis De La Rosa. And that mix with four guys who, albeit pretty young in terms of actual playing time and playing experience, have done a great job in providing leadership for these new guys, establishing our culture of what we want to be about. I think we're developing an identity. I think that's something that we've strived very, very hard for, and I'm really excited. It's a year that we play the toughest schedule in the history of Illinois basketball. We have 27, 28 high major games. Strength of schedule sure won't be a problem for us. And then it's about growth for us, and that's something that we're getting better at every day.
Thanks, Coach. We'll open the floor for questions.
Good morning, Brad. Jeremy Warner, Illini Inquirer. Obviously, you can't change a program completely in a year, but with the changes that have happened, how does this team more reflect you as a coach?
Well, I think we're becoming, we talk a lot about being positionless and versatile. And I think the one thing that we have worked very hard is we have a lot of different pieces. We have a lot more size on the perimeter. I think that our skill set is one that I really enjoy. This is a very, very good passing team. Our basketball IQ, I'm having a lot of fun with because it's pretty high. And yet, we haven't had all of our pieces in practice. We've had some minor injuries, and we get Adonis De La Rosa back at 7 foot, and he provides a different piece to us. But we're getting there, and it's versatile. And you'll see us play maybe at different times 3-point guards in a lineup. So the versatility is there that I like, and the skill set is I'm really positive about.
Third row on the left, Coach.
Martin Soares from Basketball Society. Coach, you mentioned Adonis. Can you talk about what you like about him as a person, as a player, and how you see him fitting in?
Yeah, I'll refrain from how I see him fitting in until I actually see him on the court. But he's quietly become one of our leaders. I've called him a basketball savant. I've never been around a young guy that has not participated, he knows everything that we did last year. I mean, he knows every call, he knows every play. He's got it on his iPad, he's in front of it. He's coaching guys while when he's not practicing. And, he's a very, very loyal, very committed person to our program. He's worked extremely hard. He's dropped 30-some pounds since he's been here. So I've been very, very impressed with Adonis to this point.
Any questions for Coach Underwood? Right
here. Shannon Ryan, Chicago Tribune. Obviously, you have a really young team. Trent Frazier is still a young guy, but what role are you expecting him to have in leadership, and what have you seen so far from him and the steps he's taken from last year in that area?
I think one of the hardest challenges is you have a freshman that has a lot of success, and you're always curious as to how they'll react to that. And the one thing that Trent has done is accepted some of the things that he didn't do well. He's allowed us to coach him. He's gotten better. I mean, there's no secret. He was a left-hand dominant player last year. Now he's just as good going right. We asked him to step up his leadership role. He has done that. And he's a guy that is all about winning. And I think that you look at him, and not just Trent, but Aaron Jordan and Kipper Nichols and DeMonte Williams. Those guys are all bought in. They're both feet committed to winning. And Trent's got a big jump. He's going to be at the top of everybody's scouting report, and that'll be a little different role for him. So, but he's up to the challenge, and I'm excited for his sophomore year.
Brad, obviously Chicago is loaded with talent, and a lot of guys have decided to go elsewhere, but Ayo Dosunmu chooses you and chooses Illinois. What did you guys do to get him? What do you think clicked with him, and how do you think he'll handle the pressure of expectations at Illinois?
Yeah, Ayo's a different cut, and I say that, and you talk about a committed, dedicated worker, a guy who loves basketball. He's a two-time state champion. And he's fearless. He's everything that I would have hoped him to be and more. Great teammate. He's selfless. He doesn't care. He knows he's a good basketball player, but an elite passer, a great teammate. He's always got an encouraging word. He's developing slowly, I think, into what we'll see as by some point this year, an elite leader. And he does that just by example and his ability. So he's, I don't worry about where he's from or where I think he's just got a great presence about him, and he's great in the locker room and nothing but a great teammate.
Scott Ritchie, Champaign News-Gazette. Jim Delaney said earlier this morning that he doesn't think there's anything less interesting than bad basketball games in November and December. How does that fit in your view, and how does college basketball continue to try and grab attention and viewers in the first couple of months of the season?
Well, and I think the one thing that playing two conference games in early December, you've got kind of a lull there that as you in between bowls and goings on in the football world. Campus is still alive. What I mean by that, it's still in session. So we're looking at playing two games that have, student participation at both home and on the road. So, I think that our schedule this year, at least for our fans, is one that they should be very excited about, with the ACC Challenge, with the Gavitt Games, with our trip to Maui, which is an elite field. So, I think basketball's in a great place. I think we can continue to grow. Jim does an unbelievable job in terms of foresight, in terms of thinking ahead with media and some of these things. We're the first conference to go to 20 games, and the one thing we have in the Big Ten is 42 straight years of leading in attendance. So we're above the curve for sure.
Coach Underwood, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.